Greetings, I'm Robert Wainscott from Black Box Analog Design. A customer contacted me after seeing the video where I had refurbished, the one and only red-faced microphone preamp out there. And this gentleman contacted me. He is a, what do they call those guys? I'm a ham radio operator, but with lots of fancy equipment. Apparently some ham radio operators use very early black box microphone preamps in their broadcast rigs. This particular gentleman contacted me and asked if I would be willing to have a look at his unit. This unit, gosh, this is one of the first 5 ever sent out to Vintage King. It's serialized a VK0005. The faceplate at the time, this is, gosh, a 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 solid steel. We did a high gloss powder coat back at that time. It does have commercially made knobs, so this is late enough that we weren't making our own pots back then. It is hand wired point to point. Now this particular gentleman asked if I would be willing to incorporate a tube that he's very fond of. This is an RCA Command 5751, and I looked this particular tube up, and apparently it's a very nice, very low noise AX7. So I am going to incorporate that into the design. I'm going to have to switch a few things around to make it work, but I'm really looking forward to digging into this unit and giving this gentleman something that'll really sort of fire up whatever microphone he plugs into it. I would like to mention, even though it does look crazy in there, this thing still works perfectly. When it arrived in the mail, I took it to a recording session. We recorded some, it was put on snare drum, and then it was used as a vocal mic, and I believe we might have tracked some bass through the DI, just so I could see how well something made 6 or 7 years ago was working out today. So I think I'm about gonna, yeah, you like that? You like that grammar? But I'm gonna tear into this thing. So I've worked out the numbers, and I think I know what it is I'm going to do. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this 7-to-1 output transformer and replace it with something a little more aggressive. I have got here a 4-to-1 Black Box Analog Design output transformer, and that's going to give the customer a significant boost in gain. To work with this 5751, I've done a little bit of math. I'm going to run this particular tube not as hot as I run the original stuff here in this box. The original setup, it's a pento triode setup. It's a 6U8A vacuum tube. Of course, you have the pentode, which is very high gain. The triode is a bit unusual. It's an AV7. So the significance of that is it's very low gain with a very low output impedance, and that's one of the reasons to replace this transformer as well. To make that work, my plan is to run to build another copper section to run the 5751. I'm going to run that at 2 stages. I'll run one side of it as a replacement for this AV7, and the other side of it I'm going to have to run as a cathode follower. It's just not possible with such a high plate impedance to be able to drive you know, these output transformers the way I want to do it. So I'm going to build a separate section to run that. I've sort of figured out already how it is I'm going to wire that up, and that's what I'm going to do next. So I've got most of this done now. I'm going to have to put a pot between two of these lugs and find out the right value for one side of this triode. But as you can see, I've built the circuit that I've outlined here, and I've put it on this piece of copper. Notice the orange drop capacitors. Put some really nice capacitors on here. Filter capacitors, 1 watt resistors. I have a lot of confidence in this particular circuit, so gosh, I need to memorize the 5751. We'll plug in here, and this will be of course a gain stage and a cathode follower that will drive this output transformer, and should be able to give the customer just an incredible amount of gain to drive the ham radio gear that he's working with in whatever manner he wishes to do it in. So it's time to get busy some more. So here we have the very first test of this circuit. I have it sort of tied in with some clips and some other things into the existing circuit. I want to make sure that I don't tax the power supply in powering this AX7 up. Right now I'm testing it with a JJ vacuum tube. I didn't want to put our fancy tube in here just yet. The cathode follower I've set up seems to work really well. I can get about 40 volts out of it before you see it. There you go. Where you can finally see it clip. As a matter of fact, its range of clipping is off the scale. Yeah, 40 volts. 40 volts. So I'm going to put that 40 volts in a 4-to-1 step-down transformer. The output of this will be about 10 volts, which, if you're recording, seems to be typically where converters clip. And 10 volts should be enough to push any bit of equipment. So I'm pretty pleased with this. Here we are, more or less at the end of the project. Now I have to say that the 5751 command, the RCA 5751, was a real challenge to incorporate into this design. And not because it's a poor quality vacuum tube, but really just because I'm not used to working with that amount of gain in an AX7. But with that said, I think I have a really good design. I think the owner's going to be really happy with the gain that this unit has. It also has kind of a unique trick that I'll show you here in a second. When I do these, I like to talk into a rather inexpensive microphone, a $200 microphone. Little blue bottle's perfect to test one of these things. But what I'd like to show you is, take a look at my meters right there. And this is something that I've sort of incorporated into all of my designs. It doesn't really matter how much you turn it up. You can turn it up all day long. It'll start to get some hair, depending on which one of these tubes here you use. But you'll notice there's nothing I can do. Hear how gritty and distorted that is? That is great. But there's nothing I can do that will clip those converters. This thing is gain staged in such a way that you can drive it to the moon, and you're not going to clip the next piece of gear in front of it or after it. And I'm really pleased with that, and I was really happy that I could incorporate that into this design while keeping a lot of its, the majority of its features. This is definitely different than anything else I've made before, and I'm really curious as to what kind of feedback I'm going to get from its owner. This thing definitely has a lot of hair to it, so I've got to tighten a couple things up. I've got to pull a couple resistors out that I've been using to test. I have my values. I'm going to button this thing up and ship it back to its owner. Anyways, thanks for watching, and yeah, Black Box Analog Design. Now that we're at the end of this project, I thought we would do a little bit of, I don't know, have a look at the inside kind of thing now that we're done. It's quite a bit different than when we started. New output transformer, new circuit for the RCA Command. We've got some, I've made some things adjustable in case anybody ever wants to adjust basically the bias of that tube. We have some new values. We have a couple new pots. It's just really sort of interesting to look at how I went about doing things that far back in the past. To put it in perspective, let's take a look at the current a current prototype for a preamp that's going into production soon. As you can see, pots live on circuit boards, and the point-to-point's all been replaced by harnesses, and things live on circuit boards. That is just a mistake. That should be when that circuit board was made, the traces for those were backwards for that particular transformer. Interestingly enough, still using the Cinemag output transformer. That's a 1 to 7. I'm sorry, input transformer. That's a 1 to 7 Cinemag input transformer, and this can is the same transformer, just in a different version. So yes, as we move forward 6 years, this is where things have taken us now. A little bit simpler power supply. I have these transformers made for me now, so I don't need extra transformers for phantom power or to run op amps or anything like that. So this is it. I'm really excited for the owner to get this unit back, and I can't wait to hear what he thinks about it.